In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation is honoring decades of memory, service, and sacrifice. Through its Steel Across America tour, the foundation brings an original World Trade Center steel beam to communities across the country as a symbol of sacrifice. To honor the 343 FDNY heroes lost on 9/11, Tunnel to Towers is delivering 343 mortgage-free homes and continuing efforts to end veteran homelessness. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation at T2T.org.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Welcome, everybody, on this Sunday morning. So, President Trump now threatening to send federal immigration agents, they're known as ICE, to U.S. airports unless Democrats immediately agree to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Trump says he plans to move ICE agents into airports as soon as tomorrow, telling them in all caps, get ready. Wow. This is big news, and it's smart because ICE agents are going to get paid through 2029 thanks to previous funding that was already approved through the big, beautiful bill. So if TSA workers aren't going to get paid because Democrats think this is some sort of political win for them, and they're increasingly losing this argument. Clearly, when you shut down the government twice in a span of 3 months and talk about how you want to save democracy and how you're fighting back against Trump, meanwhile, TSA workers more and more are resigning now at this point because they can't feed their families. If they're not going to get paid, why work, which is a completely thankless job? Well, if you can't put gas in the car and you can't feed your families and you can't support those that you love, then yeah, you're going to leave. So Trump is saying, okay, and nothing to do with the TSA workers, obviously. It's very, very clear why they would have to leave and why they would be completely frustrated and utterly angry at this point. Well, in terms of national security, in terms of our airports protecting you, then we'll put ICE in there instead. And that's just the way this is going to go. And Democrats are probably not happy about this at all. This is cut number 19. Go.
Posting this on True Social, quote, if the radical left Democrats don't immediately sign an agreement to let our country, in particular our airports, be free and safe again, I will move our brilliant and patriotic ICE agents to the airports where they will do security like no one has ever seen before, including the immediate arrest of all illegal immigrants who have come into our country, with heavy emphasis on those from Somalia who have totally destroyed, with the approval of a corrupt governor, attorney general, and Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, the once great state of Minnesota. I look forward to seeing ICE in action at our airports. Make America great again. And that comes.
And that's Kayleigh McEnany on Saturday in America on Fox News, first announcing what Trump's plan is. And there is absolutely nothing that Democrats can do to stop this. None. And they look horrible in the process because Trump's saying, I'm here to protect you. I'm here to make sure that our airports are safe, that passengers are safe, that airlines aren't blown up during a time when we're at war. Obviously, there could be sleeper cells here that may try to exploit this moment when so many TSA workers are either exhausted or just simply have to find another job. So Democrats can continue to try to play this game, but they are losing the PR battle on this. That is certainly for sure. Meanwhile, Elon Musk has a couple bucks, right? He's only the richest man in the world. It always goes back and forth between Bezos and him, but let's put him in the top two just to be safe. Well, yeah, when you got a couple of $100 billion laying around, if you want to jump into this particular discussion with action, well, Elon is about to do it. He is saying that he will pay the salaries of TSA workers just to get through this. And again, this backs Democrats into a corner completely and totally. They thought that little fight between Elon and Trump a couple months ago was going to be the end of MAGA. It's a civil war. Musk is going to start his own political party. Well, this is where we are now. Cut number 8. Go.
We got here like at 9 o'clock and it just snakes around and nobody's making progress. And even people in TSA pre-check are waiting in line.
I have clear and pre-check and this is the line I'm in because nothing is open.
We're worried now our flight's pretty soon.
But just moments ago, Elon Musk throwing a possible lifeline, posting on X with an offer to pay the salaries of TSA personnel during the crisis. No word yet on whether there are any takers.
Griff Jenkins, Fox News. I think there'll be a lot of takers on this one if it is real, and I believe it is. I think Musk says when he wants to do something, he does it. I'm going to buy X. I'm going to pay an astronomical amount of money to buy Twitter. It was Twitter at the time. Now it's X. And he did it when many people thought, well, you're going to lose a lot of money. He just didn't care because he was a person who wanted to save that particular platform, which is so important in terms of our discourse here in this country. And he probably is losing money on it still to this day and just doesn't seem to care because, again, you're at the FU stage of your life when you have something like you're worth $450 billion. Yeah, you can afford to make some investments on a personal level where if you lose a couple of billion, does it really matter? So, yeah, if he wants to pay TSA salaries, again, where is Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, J.B. Pritzker, right? All these multimillionaires on the Democratic side, I'm sure they'll step up too and help TSA workers if the government can't be reopened, right? Never, ever, ever going to happen. So things are turning quickly here as far as this discussion is concerned, because, again, Democrats do not look like the party that cares about you. And Republicans, whether it's Trump making these moves with ICE, supplementing or at least complementing TSA, and then obviously Musk, who basically is Trump in terms of being an ally and taking his own money to help pay salaries. This is a PR war that Democrats, they've been losing already. I think they absolutely are going to lose now. Meanwhile, J.B. Pritzker, I played this clip earlier this week, but in case you did not hear it and you're tuning in this Sunday morning, this is really, it's not disturbing because I'm not surprised by this, but Democrats, since they can't run on issues, therefore are running on, just like Tish James did when she ran for Attorney General of New York, where she said, I will prosecute and jail Donald Trump, even though there was no crime that he had committed, or there wasn't even an investigation, there wasn't an indictment, there wasn't anything. She promised to jail somebody who literally was totally and completely innocent, but she ran on this and won. So Pritzker is now saying that, well, if Democrats come into power in 2029, so that would mean winning back the White House, possibly taking the Senate and the House, there is this thing called Project 2029. And to, quote, restore the rule of law, unquote, scare quotes, that means he is promising elect us and we'll put Trump and his administration, his cabinet, in jail for breaking the law. Now, again, has any law been broken? To Pritzker, the Jackie Gleason meets Fred Flintstone of Illinois, well, he can't define it right now, but they're going to run on this, and enough crazies will go for it. Not those in the middle that decide elections, however. But anyway, this is Cut 14. Go.
What does a Project 2029 agenda look like for you?
I don't think you can speak of it in shorthand, but I'll just say a couple of things that I think are absolutely necessary. One is we've got to restore the rule of law, and that means holding people accountable who've broken the law. I'm talking about in this administration, when we get a new one, the people in this administration who've broken the law and federal agents who've broken the law need to be held accountable.
And that means criminally prosecuted.
Criminally prosecuted, civilly prosecuted, whatever it is that we can do, right? It may be that you can't criminally prosecute somebody, but that you can go after them civilly.
This moron that is interviewing Pritzker could have, done even a freshman year in high school kind of version of journalism and ask, okay, have them prosecuted for what? Can you define that? Of course not. It's just, well, they're automatically guilty. So of course this is what we have to do. And we saw it in 2020 and 2024, especially in 2024, when they tried to take Trump off the ballot literally by putting him into jail. And he beat all of those cases. They're going to try it again until they succeed. These, as the president once told me, I interviewed him for my book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign. I said, you know what, when you're you have all this money and you've been president and you did all these things that have been transformative for this country, and you know this, the deck is stacked against you as far as voting, as far as a media that is hostile towards you and never giving you a fair shake for any accomplishments that you have, or having an honest discussion on the policies that you want to bring forward in a second term. Why would you run again when the deck is so stacked against you? And his first answer immediately was, because, Joe, these people are crazy, like he said during the State of the Union well after that. And there's no other conclusion to come to. That when you're this fixed on one person, you just want to put him in jail so badly. It shows completely and totally, and I'm making a very obvious statement here, that they are losing the argument. Here's my colleague Greg Gutfeld on Fox News talking about why Democrats want revenge. And I think this crystallizes things completely. Listen to the whole cut. It really is awesome. Cut number 9, go.
The Dems are talking about revenge. For what? Was it for closing the border? We're getting rid of the fentanyl from our cities? Putting away killers and rapists, exposing waste, fraud, and abuse, destroying a foreign threat to our country, exposing the lie of trans athletes. If you're seeking revenge for that, what's it say about you? You know, if you're being honest, you only want revenge because you lost. And in that loss, people saw what they gained in having a new leader. If you look within our borders and beyond our borders, what Trump is doing now, and you have to admit this, is downstream from your own dereliction of your party. What brought us here? The Democrats embraced the luxury beliefs that selfishly elevated their own virtue, sanctuary cities, trans, identity politics primarily. Did nothing for the real problems of the world, did nothing about our foreign policy issues, did nothing about getting food on the table, did nothing about education. Americans figured that out, but so did the world. They were watching. I think the shock over Trump is his return to reality. We're back making moves in the practical world, and it has nothing to do with a singular person type identity. This is disorienting to people whose careers were based on the split world of identity politics, who have no idea what a national identity is, who have no idea what the melting pot is, have no idea what assimilation is. That's all he is doing, and it drives them crazy because they forgot that language. They can't speak that language anymore.
Anyone want to argue with that? That's exactly correct. And that is why Democrats are going to go down this road, and that's what they're going to run on in 2028, as far as whoever the presidential nominee is on that side. And it's scary, like who the options are. Gavin Newsom, AOC, Buttigieg, Pritzker. I mean, anybody else want to step up? Oh, that's right, Kamala Harris, the 2024 nominee. Democrats are so screwed. If it's JD or if it's Marco, or if it's JD and Marco, which I think it will be, probably, maybe Marco and somebody else. Conversation for another time. We'll see. It's long out. If the Trump bet, as far as tariffs, comes through, and it already appears like it is, and the Strait of Hormuz is opened up, and Iran is completely neutralized, and Cuba falls, and Venezuela is now the thriving society country that it should be, then Democrats really have nothing to run on. Before we go to break, let's play one more clip, if you don't mind, Elias. Cut number 2. This is what Zohran Mamdani is getting in terms of press coverage from places like PBS. Instead of talking about how his wife has posted multiple social media clips and statements in the past disparaging in the worst way Jews and blacks, which should be a huge focus, because if Melania Trump ever did that, I don't care how young she is when she did it, like Mrs. Mamdani, this would be scrutinized till the cows come home. Think Brett Kavanaugh and them going through his high school yearbook to try to find something nefarious. Anyway, this is the type of treatment that the New York mayor is getting from PBS and other news outlets, and it is utterly and completely expected. This is cut number 2. Go.
But, Mr. Mayor, when they're coming after you, when they are showing your face on TV screens, calling you a jihadist, saying you're the enemy, do you worry about your own safety and security here?
I'm very lucky that I have an incredible team of NYPD officers who keep me safe each and every day. And my fear, frankly, is for those whose names we do not know, whose professions we do not know, who are seen and understood to be Muslim and will be attacked for it. And they will not have the protections that I do.
Oh, I'm so thankful to NYPD officers who are protecting me. The same guys, it's in writing, Zoran, that you called anti-queer and racist. You did. You posted on social media, on Twitter at the time, that, oh, yeah, when a cop was crying in his car because one of his colleagues was killed, you celebrated that. And now you're so thankful for NYPD officers protecting you. And, oh, yeah, you're the victim here. Get your wife under control. And can the media ask one question about this? Because all week, the tough New York media didn't do a thing on this. When you know if this were a Republican mayor or governor, Casey DeSantis down in Florida, if they ever found some social media posts from her when she was a young adult. You're telling me that Ron DeSantis will get the free pass that Zoran Mamdani is? Oh, it's Rhetorical Sunday. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, my wife, her dad was a twin. And if you want to call it the fear of, let's say we already have 2 kids, right? And let's say we want to have 2 more. Then the fear is that not only will we get just 1 more, in other words, we want to get the 3, because I'm the youngest of 3 and my wife's the youngest of 3. So it would be hypocritical if we didn't have 3 kids, right? Well, the fear with us was, what happens if she comes back and says, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant with twins or even triplets? It's a possibility when it's a thing in the family. So all that said, Family Feud comes up with the greatest questions. I mean, I do watch this with the wife and kids sometimes. You know, you sit down after dinner and you just want to watch something fun. It's a little provocative at times. We got to walk our way through with a 10 and 12-year-old exactly, where these questions are going. But here is a cut, whatever. And the question is, what would you do if your wife told you, if you're a husband, and she said, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant with triplets, and here is the correct answer. Cut number whatever. Go.
Name something you do if your wife says she's pregnant with triplets.
Pack up.
Pack up, yes.
Pack up.
Pack up, get the hell out of here.
Yes. Pack up. Get the hell out of here. Because think about it. If you got to send 3 kids, or even if you've already had 2 or 3, whatever, 5 kids to college, and it costs an average of $250,000 each, even if they go to state schools, you're screwed. I mean, we love a big family, but we live in a different world here. But I say more kids, the better. What did Al Pacino say in Scarface? You like a kids, I like a kids. Said that to Michelle Pfeiffer, and I'll never do Pacino in Scarface again for the benefit of this audience's sanity. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with so much more, I swear, in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, how do we know there's voter fraud in this country? Democrats keep saying that, oh, it's going on. It's a small amount. It's not much. Again, if there are 20 million people here illegally, and we don't quite know the real number, but I have a feeling whatever we think it is, it's bigger because of all the gotaways that come into this country, and then we can't track when they came in, who they are, where they came from, and what their intentions are, probably most importantly. But here's Stephen Miller, and he's on Fox, of course, and talking about, okay, this is how you know there's voter fraud. And I think this is the perfect perspective on this, and exactly why absolutely the SAVE Act must be passed. Because, again, if there's not much voter fraud, well, it should be zero, right? And if that's the goal, then requiring people to show their ID and proof of citizenship, well, that should be a no-brainer, which almost every American sane and sober agrees with. Anyway, here's Miller's perspective. Cut number 3, go.
Here's something, Sean, that your audience may not know. At the beginning of this administration, we asked every state, red and blue, to share with us their voter rolls so that we could scrub it against the DHS file of illegal aliens to remove illegal aliens from their voting rolls. Every blue state refused. California refused. Minnesota refused. New York refused. In fact, they sued us to stop us from removing illegal aliens from the voter rolls, removing non-citizens from the voter rolls. That's not just the only thing. They don't want to get dead people off the rolls. They don't want to get felons off the rolls. They don't want to get out-of-state voters off the rolls. They don't want to get double and triple voters out of the count because they want the fraud.
They want the fraud because all those voters benefit Democrats. It's really very simple. That's why they're fighting as hard as they ever have on any issue, taking the 15 side of an 85-15 issue in terms of 85% support voter ID, including a vast majority of Democrats, blacks, Latinos, independents. That's why they're fighting this, because they know if it's a fair fight in elections, they're screwed. There's no other way to put it. And that is why we're hearing from Democrats like Delilah Ramirez of Illinois, sitting Congresswoman Democrat, who's saying, screw it. Our party doesn't just want to reform ICE. We want ICE gone completely because you're deporting too many damn illegals in this country and it's really hurting our voter rolls. This is cut number 4. Go.
Democrats should stick together now that this vote is going to come before the entire Senate and make sure that he is not, in fact, confirmed. Because if Democrats are willing to confirm him now, shame on them. Shame on them, Dean, because we need real concessions if we're going to even confirm a secretary at all. Because my goal is to abolish ICE and dismantle the Department of Homeland Security. We need something new, and this agency is not it.
So not only ICE is gone, but DHS is gone as well. Oh, that's great. You thought you had an open border under Biden. This is what happens if Democrats come into power again. By winning the 2028 midterms, winning back the House, possibly the Senate, and then maybe the White House from there. This is what they want. And it puts everybody in this country in jeopardy because every town is a border town. Meanwhile, here we have Bill Maher. Usually on Sundays we play the Maher stuff because it's always interesting to hear a liberal actually give President Trump or any conservatives any credit. And Maher goes after Trump. I get it completely. He is a liberal. He wears it on his sleeve. But at least he calls a fair fight, I think, anyway. And here he is in cut number 5. Now, you may remember when President Trump made that joke. Actually, you know what? We'll play it back for you because we are prepared here on this particular Sunday morning program. Cut number 18, Elias. This is Trump to a Japanese reporter when asked, why didn't you give us, Japan, a heads up on your attack on Iran? And this is Trump's response, and it is friggin' awesome. Cut number 18, go.
Let me pick a beautiful person from Japan. A question for the Prime Minister. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, he doesn't believe he's beautiful. Oh. He's just sounding shy. Go ahead, please.
Of course, now Japan and US are very good friends. But one question: why didn't you tell US allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay. Right?
All right. That's good, Elias. Oh, it's true. I mean, that would be like an American reporter asking the Japanese after December 7th, 1941, hey, why don't you guys give us a heads up here? Because it would have been nice to know about that. That's funny. That's obviously not scripted off the cuff. I mean, that's just Trump being Trump. Anyway, here is Bill Maher because many liberals were very, very offended by that joke. How dare you? But Maher calls it as he sees it. Cut number 5, go.
But he was in the Oval Office yesterday with the Prime Minister of Japan, Takaichi. And he was talking about our strike in Iran, and he said, we didn't tell anybody because we wanted it to be a surprise. Who knows better about a surprise attack than Japan? I mean, is it right to say that? No, but if Shane Gillis said it, you'd laugh. I mean, it's just...
yeah. And the thing is, they're laughing already. They're clapping already. I'm telling you. You look at Trump's poll numbers and you see the Real Clear Politics average. It's around like 43, 44%. You say, well, that's not that great compared to, however, past presidents at this point in their second term, whether you're talking Obama or Bush. Obviously, Biden in his first term was marred in the 30s. Given everything that Trump is doing and taking some major risks, he could have had a very safe presidency and not done the tariff war and not try to take out Iran and not try to take Maduro out of Venezuela. And Cuba's going to fall next. Like, this is a bold presidency. And with that comes risks. So you're going to have a lot of turbulence as a result of those risks. And the fact that Trump now is higher than Obama was at this point in his second term, and Bush in his second term, and well higher than Biden, like at almost any point of his first term outside of the first year, where he was getting a free pass before people realized that his brain had turned to applesauce and he wasn't actually running the country, but an autopen was. Yeah, I think when they come out on the other side of this, the Trump administration, and we're talking about maybe, let's talk 4 or 5 months from now, let's say going into Labor Day, the Strait of Hormuz, the predictions here will be opened and free, and we'll have an economy that is roaring at that point as a result of the big, beautiful bill. Look at your tax returns. Going pretty well, right? And even service workers, the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. I think that once we get by the turbulence, what's on the other side is going to be very, very good for this country. And again, Democrats won't have much to run on in the midterms. But then again, they only have to win back 3 seats in order to make Hakeem Jeffries the House Speaker. That's not much of a margin for error. Anyway, this was funny also on Maher on Friday night. Ana Paula Luna, who is a congresswoman from Texas, Republican. This is where Maher clearly wasn't given the right information about where her family originally comes from. But this is a good organic moment that we like to see in late night that we'll never, ever see on Kimmel, Colbert, and Myers. That's certainly for sure. This is cut number 6. Go.
I want to talk about Cuba. This must be important to you, right? That's where your family's from. You grew up
We're
here.
Mexican, not all the same, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not all the same.
Who's got jokes now?
Bad information, not my fault. Okay, but all right.
So that was a fast exchange. But basically, Maher is reading off of a note card. And look, you could say, why didn't you know that? It's TV is tougher than it looks, my friend. And that's why we have producers, and that's why we have people, researchers, that I'm not saying everything's scripted or people don't go on the air and don't have their own thoughts or don't do their own research. But, you know, Maher clearly was going off, if you watch the video, an index card that said that Luna was from Cuba, or her family was. And nope, Mexico. So then she responds with, nope, we're Mexican. We all don't look alike, Bill. Who's got jokes now? That's quick. That's funny. But anyway, let's move on to, obviously, what I think is the most disturbing clip of the night or day in this case, depending on when you're listening. But obviously, it's brunch time right now, Sunday morning, if you are listening live here on WABC in New York and across the country. Anyway, Abigail Spanberger, she is the governor of Virginia. And this person is so phony. I mean, this is a person, when she was a candidate running for governor in Virginia, when Jay Jones, who's running for attorney general, basically on her ticket, this guy Jones, literally in text messages, so again, not he said, she said that he hoped that his Republican opponent in the Virginia legislature would be shot twice in the head. Then also went further and said he hoped that also his wife and 2 very young children, like preschool children, also the kids died in their mother's arms. Literally, this guy wrote that, Jay Jones. And when asked to condemn this, she would not do it. And still, she got elected and he got elected. The Commonwealth, which elected Glenn Youngkin. What the hell happened down there? Because Youngkin was popular, but somehow Spanberger won and won quite easily, as did Jones. And now he is the top cop in Virginia after wishing death on his opponent, his wife, and his 2 kids. Makes you wonder about a lot of things going on down there. Anyway, here is Spanberger now out in front of the cameras. And this is as cringe, as my 10-year-old likes to say, as anything you'll ever hear as far as her cheering on Virginia schools in March Madness. And take a shower after this one. Cut number 11, go.
Congrats, VCU. Go Rams. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way to start March Madness. So Virginia fans, I hope you are enjoying all of our Virginia teams that are in the tournament. And certainly VCU kicked it off really well with their success.
Okay. That's good, Elias. I mean, right? It's like when Hillary used to say that she was a Yankee fan when, I don't know, didn't grow up in New York, grew up in Illinois, right? Said she was a Cubs fan when she was younger and then lived in Arkansas forever, but she was running for Senate in New York, and therefore she had to say that she was a Yankees fan, I guess. At least Chris Christie, when he was governor of New Jersey, was never going to back down from the fact that he was a Cowboys fan, which is really a bad idea here in the Garden State. If there's any team that's hated more than any team in the NFL, it's the Cowboys, nationwide, but especially in New Jersey, and especially if you're a Giant fan. So all of that said, Christie at least stuck to his guns and would not just kowtow and say, I really, really love this team because I want to be liked by the people in my state. I will go on this show, I have before. Rangers suck. Boy, I hate you people. Not so much the team. I don't know the players, but the fans. You are so cocky, aren't you? Oh, and you've won exactly 1 Stanley Cup in 86 years. Congratulations with that. I'm a Devils fan. We have 3. We haven't been around a quarter of the time that you have. See, I could do that. I've insulted people. And guess what? Everybody who's listening to this that's a Ranger fan will come back and listen to this show. Maybe it's hate listening, or maybe they'll respect the fact that I said that, because that's how hockey fans are. All right? I'm not going to be like, yay, Rangers, Islanders, because I have a show that's in New York. No. And especially the Knicks. Ugh. God. Talk about teams that don't win championships, but fans really, really think that they're special. Good Lord. All right. Before I get canceled completely, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with more, I hope, in just a moment. We wrap this puppy up. Bye-bye.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Can anyone write just a normal obituary just once without it making it political? For the love of God, Variety. This came out right after the great Chuck Norris, 86 years old, passed away earlier this week. Quote, Chuck Norris was a great action star, but politics may overshadow his legacy. Oh, screw you. What politics? That he was a Democrat and became a Republican? GFY. Do we know what that means? Go blank yourself. I mean, we saw it with the Ayatollah. And the Washington Post talking about how, he was a guy with a bushy beard and an easy smile. Yeah, he's Santa Claus. We saw it with Soleimani, right? The general, Iran, who killed hundreds of U.S. troops as a result of being the mastermind behind all those IEDs in the Middle East, where U.S. troops not only forget hundreds dying, but also many, many maimed, losing their arms, their legs. And Soleimani, Trump takes him out in the first term, and he's called an austere religious scholar, a boy who liked to play soccer before he would go off to study in a mosque. Oh, screw you! Enough! So they do this to Chuck Norris. And again, let's replay the clip. Chuck Norris on how he became a Republican. Yeah, this will overshadow his legacy. Screw you. Cut 15, go.
Why are you a conservative, sir?
Well, I used to be a Democrat, but unfortunately the Democrats went too far to the left, and the Republicans moved into their position that the Democrats were 40 years ago. And so what the Democrats believed 40 years ago, the Republicans believe today. And so I realized that I had to go to a Republican because the Democrats just got too far off the trail. They just got completely off the trail and lost all reality of what America stood for. And so I realized that Republicans at this point in time are more focused on what is best for America than what the Democrats are.
Yeah, Chuck Norris. There's an extremist right there, right? Saying the Democratic Party has gone far too to the left, so he decided to switch parties, which is a lot of people. And Variety says this, that his legacy may be damaged because, God forbid, he went to the other party that's not on their team. Anyway, we have some interesting news as far as Donald Trump responding to Robert Mueller, who, of course, ran a special counsel into alleged Russia collusion between Trump and the Kremlin. Trump on Truth Social. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. Signed, President Donald J. Trump in caps. Well, look, that's Trump, right? And I'm sure if Trump dies, you'll never guess what people are going to be saying online. So anybody who's offended by this, screw you. Especially people that celebrated Charlie Kirk being executed at Utah Valley University on September 10th of 2025. Oh, by the way, here is the late Charlie Kirk on what he thought of Robert Mueller after the Russia investigation. This is cut number whatever, go.
In the first Trump term, they took a lot of it away from him. At this moment during Trump 1, we had Bob Mueller lurking around because of all of this fake Russian information. The most precious thing a president has is time. And they took time away from President Donald Trump. Every day he was up against the wall with these fake and unsubstantiated and deceitful rumors that were being thrown at him. And he was barely able to pass a legislative agenda, let alone be able to have an attorney general of his choosing, because of this fabricated story by our own intel agencies. And so I think we need more than apologies here, Sean. I hope that we exhaust every possible judicial and potential indictment that could be done here, because this is a serious thwarting of our constitutional system. They say that we are a threat to democracy. What they did to Donald Trump, what they did to our country, what they did after the 2016 election is the greatest threat to democracy that we have seen in the last 50 years. And I think it's time that people start to be held accountable, and justice is more than warranted in this circumstance.
Amen. And that was Charlie with Sean Hannity. And that's the legacy of Bob Mueller. I mean, I don't know his record as FBI director, but to run that investigation as long as he did and use the resources that he did and spend all the millions that he did to come up with nothing and to eat 3 years into President Trump's first term, as Charlie said, the most important thing, the most precious thing that a president has is time, and 3 years from that first term were taken away as a result of a bogus investigation. Before we leave you, Code Pink, they're flying to Cuba, of course, on a private jet, because they're just like you, and they're going to warn Cubans about evil. Not by the Cuban regime, of course, but by another administration. Cut number 10, go.
So we're on the plane now, getting ready to go to Havana, Cuba. We have this entire charter flight full of people, and as important, full of medicines. And we're so excited to be with the Cuban people and show our support, show our solidarity, and to say that this cruel, inhumane, barbaric policy of the Trump administration has to go.
On a private jet, we're going to go down to Cuba and say, hey, keep what you have while you're starving and have no electricity. The Trump administration's much worse. Oh, Code Pink, don't ever change. Anyway, thanks for tuning in today. We're back next Sunday at 11 a.m. In the meantime, I'm on 9 p.m. Eastern time on WABC and on stations around the country. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye. In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.